What is going on? Happy Monday, y'all.
Nick's a little buzzed.
I am a little buzzed. I was just drinking Caitlin Bristol's wines.
Whoa.
Spade and Sparrow. It's refreshing.
It is so good.
It is good.
Also, we're drinking out of the cutest glasses that Jess from Chatty Broads gifted us.
She did gift us. We've helped each other out in various avenues, and they sent me that thank you gift, which was very nice. So we have little whiskey glasses.
What does your glass say?
It says Nick, and it says Essential Oils Mogul, podcast host, hot Bob Ross, the boss. This is the first time reading all of it. Thank you,
Hot Bob Ross.
Chatty Broads. A lot of podcast synergy going on right now.
Yes.
We got Caitlin Bristow's podcast, the Chatty Broads. But before we even get to Caitlin Bristow, which by the way is on Wednesday.
Yes.
You can check out Caitlin's episode tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a live show
on her podcast.
Which we haven't recorded yet.
Are you nervous?
I don't know what to expect. It's a live show with a lot of Caitlin fans. And then Caitlin will be on the Viall Files on Wednesday. Very different conversation. Shared a lot.
I was surprised by what she talked about.
Shared a lot. And
she brought me a clip.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Her clip and scrunchie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, big week. Big week in the podcast space.
I guess so.
Whew. Can't wait. Make sure to check out both podcasts. Rate mine 5 stars, and I guess you could rate hers. Such a dick. I'm actually learning some music. Well, I'm learning how to play.
What are you learning how to play?
I'm trying to learn how to play the guitar. I haven't purchased the guitar yet. I have friends who
you're borrowing
have guitars. When I go to their place, but musician is this new thing I'm checking out.
Musician.
And so I went around and asked my friends if I can come over and strum on their guitar.
Are you going to turn into that guy at the party who's playing the guitar?
No, I just want to have it to be like a low-key surprise, like on a 5th date if I ever get there.
Wow.
And like a John Mayer kind of thing. I'm trying to learn all John Mayer songs.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how women are going to be able to handle that. It's going to be too much.
I think they'll be fine. I have to get to the 5th date. But it's great. They make it super easy to. It's like one of those things that you get to learn languages that make it so easy to learn. It's the same thing, but for instruments.
Exactly. They make it fun and addictive, so it feels like you're playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band, but you're playing with real instruments.
Actually learning how to play a real instrument. Yeah, so it's a real life skill.
Yeah, this is for all you listeners out there who've wished that you played a musical instrument, but you feel like it's too late to learn.
It's not too late.
And this makes it super fun and easy.
I'm already getting to the point where it kind of sounds like a John Mayer song. And that's only after...
You have to bring your guitar into the studio one day.
Maybe. We're like a year. I mean, yes, of course. But I will say I'm making great strides, and it's only because of Musician.
Nice.
That much I can say. That much is very true. I would be lost. I didn't even know how to hold a guitar before. So,
yeah.
Progress. So, if you've been wanting to learn an instrument or simply want to get back to playing, check out Musician. You can get an extended 14-day trial of their Premier Plus package at musician.com/VIALL. That's unlimited lessons and unlimited songs on as many instruments as you want for 2 whole weeks. Just go to musician.com/VIALL to start your free trial today. That's YOUSICIAN.com/VIALL.
Your body is a wonderland.
You know what? We're starting to get tagged in people's Embark results, and I gotta say, we're making great strides with humanity and dog lovers. It's really cool.
Embark DNA kits where you can test the DNA of your dog.
It's amazing. Every single pet owner who listens to the show should get Embark.
Especially with the holidays coming up, get your dog a holiday present by having them learn about where they come from.
And yeah, like give your your dog the gift of knowledge and health, because you learn a lot about their health and what you can do to make their lives better. And it's just a great conversation starter.
Are you getting tagged?
Yeah,
what are they saying?
They're just like showing their dog's results.
Oh, that's so cute.
They all love it. Everyone's very excited about I never knew. What more can we say? It's such an obvious thing you need to have if you have a dog.
The ultimate conversation starter.
Ultimate conversation starter. No, don't talk about how much you love your dog. Show how much you love your dog. Embark has an exclusive holiday offer you can't get anywhere else. Go to embarkvet.com now and use promo code VIALL to save 15% off your dog DNA test kit. Visit embarkvet.com and use promo code VIALL to save.
So Brad Goreski is joining us today.
Big day. Brad Goreski's back to help us answer some questions.
Who knew? Too much wine.
Yeah. People really enjoyed my sister. We're gonna, always it's nice to have some former guests come back and share some perspective. So
I was
nice
shocked
to get
by how wise Brad is.
Wise? I can't help but find that to be a slight dig.
No, I mean, just because I'm not saying that he doesn't seem like a wise person, just that he is so wise.
A smart guy. And this, and again, I think that's why I like sometimes bringing in the occasional person.
Yeah.
I certainly like what I have to say. I hope you do too. But we are just sharing our thoughts, and it's always good to have other people's perspectives. And sometimes it's getting another voice in the room, and it makes it more interesting and fun. And Brad's a friend of show who's got a new podcast coming out.
Yeah.
And very excited about that. And he's just a good friend, and I like having him around. So it was very enjoyable to have him. And I think he brought some great humor and great insight to our questions, which are phenomenal once again and very interesting.
Yeah.
So without further ado, welcome to another episode of the Viall Files special guest, Brad Goreski.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Rochelle.
Hi, Brad.
Yeah, we like to mix it up here on the Ask Nick portions of Questions with Nick. We had my sister, now we have Brad, and it's a great way for us to bring back some of our fan favorite guests.
And really get that gay male perspective.
Yeah, always important.
Seriously, though.
You had some really great perspectives this episode, Brad.
Thanks.
That was really great.
Thank you.
Really good to see you. What have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, Nick, what haven't I been up to is the question.
Flirting with you on Instagram.
That's a full-time job.
Is it really a job if you enjoy it, though?
No, it's not actually. I just troll Instagram waiting for your post to come up so I can think of something semi-sexual to put in the comments.
And really get the feel.
Get the ladies going.
What's going on?
They love it. Breaking news, you already know this. I have started my own podcast.
You have?
Called Brad Behavior.
I heard episode 2 is a huge hit.
Episode 2 is actually, people are freaking out because you're my second guest, my first male guest.
Yes.
And you were a great guest, naturally. But I'm really excited. It launched on November 13th on the Lady Gang Network. And I'm really excited to be a part of the Lady Gang family. And I'm really happy to be able to sit down and share more of myself with others.
I had a lot of fun recording that episode with you. Are your other episodes just as dynamic as ours?
Yours was, of course, the most dynamic.
What did you guys talk about?
We really just really just shot the shit for a good, it was just kind of, we had just a fun conversation.
Yeah, I feel like that's basically the whole idea behind Brad Behavior is that, obviously there's like a fashion focus on it because of, the fact that I do a lot of fashion stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's also, I like to kind of get deep with people, but I also just like to shoot the shit, so to speak, with and hopefully show different sides of the guests that I have on. So I had Kaylee Cuoco as my first guest.
Ooh.
And you, and of course Tanya Rad will be making an appearance as well, among many others.
What days of the week does it drop?
On Wednesdays.
Competition.
No.
Ooh. Nick, this just got sexier.
I'm happy to
my
support.
God.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on top? That's the question.
Oh, no.
You,
He just leaned his head so far back his headphones came
I
off.
lost my headphones.
and then you and Gary have another show coming out on HBO.
I'm
Max.
excited about this one.
Thank you. Yeah, we are starting to film a show. It's going to be on HBO Max. It's called Brad and Gary Go To. That's the working title, and it's a travel show where we're literally going to go all over the world to very interesting places, and we're just going to bring our fans and our friends along for the ride. And we're actually like literally just structuring the show as we would as if we were going, on a vacation. So we're actually doing the itinerary, and but this time we will have a film crew with us who will be documenting it. So we have 6 half-hour episodes, and HBO Max I think is launching sometime in the spring of 2020.
What is HBO Max?
So HBO Max is Warner Brothers streaming service. So
everybody's got a streaming service.
Yes, girl. And obviously, and also AT&T, they just announced that all the subscribers to HBO
now.
No, all the subscribers, the AT&T subscribers that have HBO are automatically going to be getting HBO Max.
Okay.
What is the difference between HBO Now and HBO?
So
something
HBO
else?
HBO Now is HBO Go.
HBO
is
Go,
the streaming service. So it's their on-demand service.
I have
HBO Max is going to be, so they have the library, the entire library for Friends, Big Bang Theory, Pretty Little Liars, I believe, as well. And then they have a ton of original programming. Yes, me and Kaylee Cuoco show The Flight Attendant, which she's about to take off to go and film as well, her next project. They have really good stuff on there.
Well, Brad, if you and Gary need a third wheel.
Nick, I've been asking for you to be our third for a really long time.
You set yourself up for that one.
I'll only come if there's cameras.
So I've been told.
Oh, no.
Yeah, welcome to...
That was too easy.
Welcome to a dinner, any text, DM conversation between Nick and myself.
Congratulations on all your success. It's a lot of fun, and
Thanks.
I'm glad that you're doing so well. I appreciate you gracing us on this episode. Brad is a lot of fun this episode.
Yeah, it's a good episode as always.
Anything else we want to any anecdotes about our...
Super worried about leaving my car in the Chipotle parking lot.
Oh, it's fine. Well, all right. Well,
Nick, are you dating anyone right now?
He'll never say.
I'm not defining relationships at the present time.
Okay.
Ugh, that's such like a politician's answer.
I mean, it's fine if you're not defining, but like I feel like you were kind of the perpetual bachelor for a while, so it's like an interesting shift. You and Tanya should get together and talk about because I told Tanya Rad that she needs to maybe get into a relationship and do what you're doing and not like really like talk about it until the relationship has like...
Does she talk about
dating?
All the guys she's...
all the time. On the pod, on Kiss, like
specifically each guy, like...
No, they have code names, but like they know that...
She gets into detail.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then all of their like scrubbers and stuff up from their podcast,
girl, they figured out.
They like screen grabbed an Insta story of mine and like zoomed in on the face, and like it was wild.
Or the reflection in someone's retina.
Yes. Yeah.
No, yeah.
All right, I can respect that, I guess. Why are you being so coy?
It's fun.
Being coy is fun?
When it comes to my dating life, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I don't know. I mean, offline, Brad, we can have a full conversation about it.
Wow.
Oh, aren't you lucky?
Mm-hmm. ... The only way you can get Nick to be quiet is to ask him about his dating life.
Oh my God. That was good.
And on that note,
let's get to it.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy question.
All right, how's it going?
Hi. Good. I'm Sarah, and I'm 40.
Great. Nice to meet you, Sarah. I'm Nick. This is my friend Brad. He will be
I'm
helping
Brad.
us solve all your problems.
I'm
and
42.
Rochelle's with us as well.
Hi.
Awesome. Hi.
How can we help you, Sarah?
So my question is that I'm 40. I've never been in a relationship, and because of that, I'm still a virgin. And I think I really don't know how to discuss that with someone that I might date.
Okay.
In the future.
Interesting. Well, it's real simple, I guess. Why do you think you haven't been in a relationship? Like, you've never dated anyone? Have you been on dates?
Yeah, I've been on probably at the most like 5 dates with someone, with like 2 different people, I guess. And I've been on like a few first dates, but they all were really awful. Just like online dates.
First dates can be. Yeah.
Pardon?
At first dates, a lot of people go on bad first dates.
Yeah. And so I have no idea. I don't really get asked out a lot, so I don't know if it's, I don't really know why I haven't been in a relationship or dated.
Well, I know you're anonymous. You're very pretty. I mean, you're pretty,
Super big.
yeah, right? What's your story? Like, how, you're 40 years old. What were you doing in your 20s? I mean, this is clearly not a situation where you're like, no one would date me. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, are you not available, or you've been busy? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think in my 20s, I don't know. I mean, I guess online dating hadn't like taken off really in my 20s. So I was just early 20s, I guess, just out there thinking, oh, I'll meet someone around like at work or with friends. And I just met people that I liked, but they never liked me back. And I think I ended up being friends with guys, like, and so I'll have like probably my biggest heartbreaks in life have been like friends that then get married and ditch me as a friend.
Okay.
Didn't you say, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Didn't you say you grew up like in the purity culture, and you also said no one asked you out until this one guy.
Yeah.
What's purity culture?
We've talked a lot about this, Brad. Rochelle was part of the purity culture.
Is that like the promise ring culture?
Yeah.
Sign a contract to not have sex.
I gotcha.
Like I quasi grew up in that, but not really. Like
I definitely did not.
I was 16, and they're like, don't have sex before marriage. But like,
right.
My parents, that kind of ended there. Where
you didn't get jewelry to signify.
Yeah, that must be playing some sort of role, at least in your early life, of why you were maybe not getting out there in your dating life.
I guess, but I mean, it's like I was around guys that were all in the same, like going to church, whatever, and none of them liked me either. So, like, it's easy to think that that's part of it, but it's not like I wasn't around single guys either. So, I think it's hard. I think for me, like, the purity culture damage was more about saying that, like, women are not sexual, men are sexual, and women are responsible for being pure, and that's like their value, and like stopping men from wanting to have sex with them. Or I don't know if that makes sense, but
I mean,
no, that totally makes sense.
I mean, it makes sense yes.
But it's totally screwed up. It's totally screwed up because you just feel like you're a kid and you're being told you don't want sex because you're a woman, and you're like, but I do. Am I? Is there something wrong with me? But that's kind of what you're taught. And so it like really messes up your view of like your value and your worth. And so I think I was pretty insecure, and then thinking, oh, of course I'll get married. I'll find someone, and then not really dating. It sort of builds on your lack of confidence, I think, because you're like, wait, I thought people would like me. No one does. Like, now what am I doing wrong? And I think as I've changed in my beliefs, of course, of being like, wow, what a damaging mindset I had as a kid, and sort of getting away from that. And then being older, I like went on I dated one guy for a few times, and he really was like, why aren't you more sexually aggressive? Like, he just really shamed me for being not sure if I liked him yet. Like, I wasn't confident, but I wasn't sure if I liked him. And I explained to him, like, I'd rather kind of get to know you for a little bit, go out for a little bit before we have sex and see if I really like you or, you know, if this is anything. And he was totally fine with it, but just really kept pressuring me and obviously didn't really feel okay with that, even though he said he did. And he broke up with me telling me I wasn't attractive enough. So again, it was like shame for not being sexual enough. And so I think if I had to guess, like, I think I probably project just like a lack of confidence.
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Probably fair. And then, I mean, that guy, obviously, like, I hope you know this, but I'm sure he was just being a little bitch because he couldn't get what he wants. So that classic case of him making you feel bad because he felt bad about himself, and he was just, you know. To me, this sounds like a kind of a snowball effect that's built up over the years of a variety of different variables, and now you're just kind of at this point in your life where you're kind of in this rut, and there's, you know, simple answer of necessarily how to get out of it. I mean, you're a beautiful person. I don't know you, but you seem pretty normal enough. It's not like you're calling and you're like kind of these weird tics. You seem a very chill, pretty girl, you know? So, and anyone can find someone, right? There's things that I don't want to say you're doing anything wrong, but what you're doing probably wrong is, you know, you're probably in your head a little bit too much. This idea that you're, you know, you've made friends with a couple guys who end up not liking you and then marry someone else. There might be something there about who you are going after, and maybe you're just kind of like getting comfortable with guys and you feel like in this safe place, and it's like this friendship. Yeah. You're kind of you're used to having guy friends in that regard because it feels safe and comfortable.
But how do you break the cycle?
And those guys weren't people that I liked or wanted to date. They were just like comfortable, I think, fillers for like the guy energy in your life, even though you're like, if they wanted to date me, I wouldn't have wanted to date them.
Yeah. Brad had a great question, like, how do you break the cycle? And I think it comes down to that. I mean, I've heard mixed opinions about this. Like, you know, there's a lot of people, Heather, she's a comedian. I was on her podcast. Heather McDonald. Thank you. She has a book. I read her book, and she lost her virginity at like 27, 28, not 40. But at that point, it was a part of her, like Ashley my friend, who was a virgin into her, I don't know what age, but late 20s, early 30s. Certainly that was a point in her life where it became a thought process, an identity, something that she identified with, something that she worried about when going on dates, et cetera, et cetera. Like, similar to your point. At some point, like, it doesn't matter that you're 40 or 29. You know, Heather in her book talked about, like, she wished she never told the guy. She wished she would have just kept to herself. She talked about how she made such a big deal about it on every date, but, like, why does he need to know? It really didn't change anything. It was just kind of some guy that she ended up having sex with. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but it's an interesting point of view where, listen, if you want a guy to know, that's fine. That's your prerogative. You have the right to want to have that conversation with him. But like, I feel like when you have these conversations with a few virgins that I've known late in their life, like, they feel like there's this burden. Well, how do I tell these guys, and how do I have the conversation? And the question it begs, kind of like what Heather brought up, is, do you have to have this conversation? As if, like, do you feel like it's your responsibility to let the guys know when you're dating? Is that why you want them to know? Or
no, I actually don't want them to know, but I had a friend that was like, you can't keep that a secret, and they'll be able to tell anyway that you don't know.
Okay. Your friend's an idiot. Yeah, I totally disagree with your friend. And by the way, is she your friend, a virgin?
No.
Okay, then what the fuck does she know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why does is there a book saying you have to tell someone? I just...
Yeah, well, because I'm like thinking it's none of their business in a way, and it has nothing to do with them. It's not like I waited for them, or, you know, all that language around like saving yourself or taking it from me. It's like, it has nothing to do with them. So I agree. I mean, I don't want to tell someone, but
then you don't have to. Is my opinion? Yeah.
Serious relationship, I feel like I'd have to say, oh, and by the way, wouldn't it come up like, well, who have you been with or whatever, I feel like it would come up at some point. I'd be like, oh, I know I didn't tell you, but yeah, you're the only.
I know this is maybe not ideal, but I'm curious. This is a question. Are you open to losing your virginity in a more casual atmosphere? I don't mean necessarily one night stand, but does it have to be someone you've been dating for 6 months?
No, I mean, I'm fine with having sex with someone that I meet and like go on a few dates with and really like and whatever. Like that's fine with me.
If you are, whatever you're comfortable with, I think is important, and that's what you should do. But I kind of feel like you kind of have to get this thing out of the way.
Yeah, your first time also is like never that monumental.
The first time is always the worst. I mean, it's like
not like the greatest.
It's not special. It's not that like it should be
my other problem of even getting the date to begin with. Like,
fine, but I do think there's a combination. It's like a chicken for the egg thing. There's a lot going on in your head, and you're probably projecting a lot, and this virginity aspect is in your head. I would be without knowing and having hung out with you, there's no way you're not projecting that. There's got to be a liberating feeling that you're going to have once you just be like, you know what, fuck, I'm not a virgin, like. And
I know. I was just like, let me get this out of the way so I can like move on.
Yeah, with
my life.
There's no way it's not coming into play, because like the fact that it sounds like you're not a virgin for any other reason that you just happen to be a virgin now. Like maybe there was the purity element when you were younger, but like that's not playing a role now. And now I feel like now you're just kind of like stuck, and then you're asking why am I not? Is it me, et cetera, et cetera? And there's no way that's not playing a role in your dating life. And so I don't know how it couldn't be, it's got to be a thought.
But in order to get somebody to go on a date with you or to have sex with you, you have to start with yourself, and that's building up your own self-confidence that you are able to, like, if you are sure of yourself and not apologizing for your past or the fact that you are a virgin, like if you just accept that as a part of yourself and kind of like nurture it and be like, this is a part of who I am, and I'm not going to make any exceptions. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to make a big deal about it because it makes up a part of who I am. And so when you get to a place where you're actually kind of like, accept everything about who you are up to your 40 years, then it won't matter when you're out on a date with the person if it comes up, because you'll be like, this is part of my life and I am a virgin, and it's like not a big deal, and you should be really lucky that you're the first person that gets to have sex with me, bitch.
Yes.
Like that would be where I would come from. I'd be like, I've been saving this for a long time, and you happen to be the person, and you should count yourself lucky.
Brad, I like what you're saying, but I think that's the mindset I'm trying to get to, but it's like, and I think that's why my question is like, how do I explain myself? Because I'm not at a point, like I know where I'm just like, well, no one else has wanted me, so you probably shouldn't either, and I'm like, no, you shouldn't feel that way, but deep down I do, and you're like, how do you get away from your feelings and be like,
it's rewrite the dialogue. You wrote that script for yourself already, so like burn it in your brain and rewrite another one. Play a different character, pretend you're somebody else. Like, we all wear different disguises and masks and put on different performances for people all the time in our daily lives. Like sometimes I'm business Brad, sometimes I'm husband Brad. So, it's like, not like I'm schizophrenic, but you wear different, you put on different appearances and performances for different people. So pretend that you're like a super confident person until you believe it. Like fake it until you make it is literally what everybody does in LA. So just do it in the dating world. Like rewrite your story, rewrite the dialogue in your head, because the one that you are acting on now is not serving you anymore. So just rewrite it.
Better help. Well, people, I hope you're enjoying our feedback that you're getting right now. But as you know, Brad and I are not professionals. And Rochelle more than us, but even not her.
What?
Are not professionals.
I'm definitely not. I'm the least qualified.
But if you are looking for better help, you can get professional help right from the comfort of your home or truly wherever you have a electronic device.
Yes.
It's discreet, it's affordable, it is accessible, and if you've ever considered to want to get professional help, try BetterHelp. In fact, recently I was talking to a friend who told me about something that happened in her young life, and quite honestly, it was a lot. And I asked her if she's ever talked to someone, and she said no. And I suggested BetterHelp, and
That's
I
so
said,
cool.
there's a lot of fear and anxiety that goes in with talking to someone, and that whole process of finding someone, and just like that.
Amazing.
And just kind of go through and I was just encouraging her, like, there's nothing wrong with just speaking to someone.
Exactly.
I feel like you're holding some stuff in, and it must be nice to be able to talk. And so BetterHelp was a great option for her and quite honestly for anyone. So best of all, it is truly affordable. And you can't say that always about professional help when it comes to mental health. But Viall listeners get 10% off their first month with discount code VIALL. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/VIALL. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/VIALL. Article, what more can we say about article embracing or fulfilling our living rooms?
Yes. Beautiful modern furniture.
Affordable. Easy. It's fun to shop. It looks great in your place. It comes in all different types of designs, all of which will look good with your decor. Mm-hmm. If you decide to change your mind, what is so fascinating about them, they make the returning
so easy.
So easy. I haven't had to experience that because I absolutely loved it.
Me either.
But I have heard from people, not that they didn't like what they had, but they were dating someone who was difficult and changed their mind. And what's worse, the only thing that made that life situation better is that article didn't make it even more difficult because they already had to deal with their goddamn spouse.
Yep.
So article is saving the day, not only with making you your living room, bedroom, den, whatever room you need to fill, modern, trendy, at an affordable price.
It's free shipping on orders over $999. And you don't have to put it together yourself.
No, they'll do it for you.
Yeah.
So Article is offering our listeners $50 off their first purchase of $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/VIALL. And the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/VIALL to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. You're definitely in the rut that way. Yeah. And I totally agree with Brad there. And it's going to be... That's sometimes easy to say and harder to do, but you can do it. But just know that there will be moments where you'll run into these assholes or these guys, and they'll make a comment, and it's what you're probably, I'm guessing, sensitive to it, and totally rightfully so. Where something that someone might say something to me and it doesn't bother me could bother you, and so just know that it does take time, and go out there and just change it up. Whatever you're doing now, do things differently, but you do have to try to get out of your head. Are you? You must be it sounds like you're just constantly questioning and judging yourself. And to Brad's point, I think you really need to in your head change that narrative of instead of criticizing you should be proud of it. Why not? There's nothing to judge yourself for.
But also when you bring in somebody else into your life, so if you actually start dating a guy and he tells you all the time that you're beautiful, but you don't believe it anyway, it's not going to matter if there's somebody else there telling you that unless you kind of believe it.
That's a great point.
I mean, we can be loved by others until we love ourselves. But my mom told me when I was a teenager, basically, that you will not be able to love anybody unless you love yourself. And I had no idea what that meant. And I don't know if I'm I like myself a lot, but I think, and I've been with my husband for 18 years, and he tells me all the time that doesn't matter where we are, and he means it, you are the most handsome person in this room. He tells it to me all the time. And so But if I didn't believe that, I'd be like, oh no, like that guy over there is like so much cuter and has a better body. I'm like, thanks, I am. Thank you. I'm glad that you see that.
That is true. Yeah, because if you are in your head sometimes, if you don't believe that, doesn't matter how many compliments you'll get.
No.
You'll wonder if they're just saying it to like be nice or to pander you or things like that. So that's a great point where it does. You'll be in your head about that. Like, oh, well, they just say it because they know I'm a virgin.
Yeah,
are they
trying to?
Are they trying to be nice?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, when I start working with a client, when I'm styling somebody, the first thing that I make them tell me is what they like about themselves. And I think that you should do like a little bit of work, like actual just like writing work about like what you have to offer and like what it is that you put out in the world that attracts people to you. Like, I don't know you, so I can't say what those things are, but I would say to my girlfriends, like, you have a great laugh. You always light up the room. People look forward to seeing you. You're so warm. You're, like, whatever it is, like, write like a love letter to yourself so that you know exactly what you offer and it's down on paper so that you can see like, oh, well, when I walk into a dating situation or when I walk into a room, this is what I bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Another thing, I mean, it's different than your situation, but sometimes you mention your friend and your friend giving you feedback, and like friends, we always try to be good friends and sometimes we project. But I remember when I was I broke up with my girlfriend. I was pretty young. And sometimes it's like, again, you keep in mind that your friends are always hearing your problems over and over. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, my point is like, I would constantly be sad, or I would, complain to my friends X, Y, and Z, and then your friends start giving you information because they don't know what to say to you at some point. So my point especially with your immediate friends, I think that's really important to let them know that you're not bothered by this virgin thing, or you're not bothered by this, because like eventually your friends will give you all these different types of advice based on the fact that like they've been hearing this kind of plight of yours for years now, and I think they need to see it differently on you, so like they don't see it, because they don't want to think, oh, poor Sarah, she just have to, like, it's not, you don't see it as a problem, and you kind of, like to Brad's point, you wear it proudly and you go out and you smile and you have that confidence. Your friends you don't want their pity, right? But in a defense to your friends, you've probably been complaining to them for so long about this thing because, and again, they're your friends, they're your go-to people, but after a while it just kind of like gets exhausting sometimes. So try not to exhaust them.
I'm exhausted of my friends being like, I don't know why you're single. You'll find someone, this year's your year. And then it's like another year goes by and they're like, oh no, you're totally going to find, like they're more like, you'll find someone, and it keeps being like, well, I haven't. So
how many people do you ask out?
What?
Do you ever ask people out, or you just wait to be asked out?
That's a great question.
I don't ask people out because I don't think I'd trust that they really liked me.
Yeah, you need to stop doing that. So thank you for asking that, Rochelle. Like, you need to take some risk. You need to do something different. Like, whatever you've been doing and not forgetting about the virgin thing and just like going on dates, you need to change because what you're doing isn't working. You need to take some risk, and you need to be okay with sometimes a guy not being into you. It doesn't in any way speak to like who you are, how good you look. Everyone gets rejected. Everyone puts themselves out there and from time to time gets turned down. Everyone, if you picture a woman or a guy who thinks they could have everyone they want, trust me, they can't. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? So you need to put yourself out there sometimes. You are a pretty woman. You are, like, you seem very nice. You seem like a great person, but you are so closed off, and you are now like, you're waiting for guys to ask you, but you're like, no one wants me. And then guys are like, yeah, you're right. So you need to change that narrative, so like you need to,
I agree. And I think like, I know you guys were talking about Enneagram types, and I'm like a 4 Enneagram, and it talks about how you just think about your feelings too much, and you like can go through life not ever acting on what you want because you just stay in your head. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been like a really huge realization. And I think this is one of those areas where I've sort of just been like, oh my gosh, like I have to start living life instead of thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, the George Costanza approach, like whatever you think you should do the opposite. Try that for a while when it comes to your dating life.
I know. too. Because whatever I'm doing, and it's so funny because I'll be like, here's what I'm doing. It seems like what everyone else has done to meet their people, like go on, get set up, like get involved, go out and do activities, like meet new people, like go on dating apps. I'm like, I've done it all and none of it's worked. And so I
keep doing it. And again, if you're waiting for guys to ask you, then you are subject to like them to like, you don't get to pick who you go out with kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for someone to ask you, then you're like, well, like, okay, well, he asked, so I'll go out with him. I mean, there might be 3 guys that you would prefer to go out with, but you refuse to put yourself out there. People don't do it because they're afraid of the rejection. They're afraid of like them saying no. You just like change it up, take some risks, be okay with putting yourself out there. And I know it's risky because you're lacking confidence right now, and that might play into like getting turned. But like, it is dating, right? Nothing, to your point, has worked for you right now. Like it's just dating. The worst thing that can happen if in a year from now you're still single and you change it up is that you probably have some great stories. You can come back on this podcast. You can share them with everyone. It'll be really interesting and be great for us. No, but like, like you're gonna have more highs and lows if you put yourself out there, and it'll even out. But right now you're just doing the same thing. You've plateaued, and it's, you're in this vicious cycle. So the virgin thing, I try to separate that. And I really don't think you need to worry about what you should say to someone. That burden, I don't think. And then start putting yourself out there. Ask a couple guys out, and some might not say no. That's okay. Some will say yes. Try maybe changing in who you're going out with. Don't get too comfortable. If you have this routine of guy friends, don't invest too much real estate into guys that you're not going to date.
Yeah. I think I've been like actively trying not to do that because I think it's my trap.
Yeah. That's good to be aware of that. But mix it up. We'd love to hear from you and give some updates, but really make an effort on, changing that narrative of Brad said, fake it till you make it. And then just actively literally doing different things, whatever it is in your dating life. Take some more risks and just know that the immediate reaction and results do not define who you are.
Totally.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Brad. Thanks for
Well, thanks so much for calling. We wish you all the best. We hope to hear from you. You definitely.
It's gonna happen.
You seem like a really lovely person inside and out. So like there's really truly no reason why if you really want it in your life, you won't have it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. My pleasure.
Welcome, abundance.
Yeah. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. What an anomaly. What a delightful, she just had a good energy about her.
Yeah, but she did keep saying, no one wants me. No one wants me.
That's
like Brad said, if you keep saying that, that's what's going to be.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But getting stuck in the drain, right? Of your own mind.
Yes.
Like, I mean, we all do it, but you have to kind of have the ability to be able to see how far you want to go down that. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is like, listen, if you really want to, if the thing that's holding you back is the fact that you're a virgin, like, we're in like a hit it and quit it society. Like, if you want to bang it out with somebody, there's it's like literally you can get like sex anywhere. So like, if that's something you really just want, I just want to get it over with at this point. That can happen.
It's a little trickier with women because we worry about getting killed sometimes.
I think, yes. But I'm saying to
not
Brad's
funny,
point,
but yes, you're right.
To Brad's point, yes, if truly that was her only goal, that is possible. Yeah. But it's interesting, like, Rochelle said, like, it is a confidence thing. Even people in relationships, sometimes when someone's dating someone, they're slightly insecure. They feel like internally, like they outkick their coverage, where they're like, man, how did I land this person? Yeah. And they constantly say to their partner, like, I feel like you're too good for me.
Oh, God.
Eventually the other person's going to be like,
I am
I too good for them? It happens. So like, if the other, it's human nature to be like, man, I don't like, if you tell the other person you're not good enough for them, they're going to be like, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess you aren't.
I'm so glad I didn't get crazy in my relationship. I mean, I don't know if that was just youth or what, but I don't know. I don't remember. I remember saying like, I hope this lasts, but not like, I wasn't doing crazy stuff like.
How old were you?
23.
Aww.
Yeah.
When you met Gary?
Yeah. I'm just glad. I don't know. I'm so glad I didn't get all crazy.
How's it going?
Hi, I'm Brett. I'm 19.
Hi, Britt, who's 19.
Youth.
So I really need some help. Basically, the main thing I'm trying to get advice on here is how to maintain long distance friendships. Basically, long story short, I've been friends with this girl for pretty much my entire life. And I just moved away like about a year ago. So we are long distance now. And she had been dating this guy for about 3 years. And they got engaged last year. And then like 7 months later, she ended the engagement. And a month after that, she is now engaged to someone else. And
That one has a goal.
and there's some drama with that, but you know, we won't get into that. That's kind of a long story, but basically she's just been making me feel uncomfortable in our friendship, along with like her new fiance, and she's been like putting pressures on me and my relationship, like saying like, when are you getting married, or like we need to get married together, and we need to like have babies together. And I'm like, okay, you know, at the time she told me that, I was 18, and I was like, okay, well, I'm happy with where my relationship is at, and I'm only 18. Like, so it's just been, I've been kind of uncomfortable. She's been making me a little bit uncomfortable with dating this new guy. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, do I approach the situation and kind of talk to her about how I'm uncomfortable, or like she's asking me to be in this wedding? Do I be in the wedding? Do I spend the money? Like, just really how much effort should I put into this friendship now that we're long distance and it's a little bit harder to like have those tough conversations when we're not face to face?
Sure. I feel like I'm going to be a total cynic answering this question. I apologize for any condescension that comes out of my mouth. No, this is a great question. I mean, you said something at the very end that I thought was interesting. You're like, how much should I really invest if it's, you know, long distance? Like, how much do you want to invest? Like, how important is this friendship to you today, and not based off of your history, I guess, is my first question.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm struggling with, because she used to mean a lot to me, but just like recently, since she's been kind of making me feel uncomfortable, and like we've just been kind of distant. Like, I've been distancing myself, but I don't know if that's really the right thing to do, and I don't know if I'm handling it the right way with like becoming kind of like distant.
Yeah. I mean, you're at the very beginning of your adult life, you know, and you're going to learn so much and grow and change as a person. Friendships often change. I feel very fortunate, incredibly fortunate, to have two friends that are still involved in my life from high school. Two. And I feel fortunate. And I think that's a rarity to still have them be that as close as they are. My point is saying is like, it's a rare thing to maintain lifelong friendships. And sometimes it's because like you change, you know, like what your interests were as young teenagers and young adults is, it often changes over time. And, you know, relationships and, you know, start and stop just like boyfriend and girlfriends, and sometimes husband and wives. Sometimes it's just friends. And that's because you end up wanting different things. Your priorities change. So there isn't this burden to be like, I have to be friends with you for the rest of your life, because when you were sophomores in high school, you guys like promised each other you'd be friends forever. You know, we sometimes make those promises. We make promises all the time. You'll make those promises to adults in your 30s about like, oh, I feel like I want to get married. And then you're like, just kidding. So I think just in general, don't make like present commitments and choices based off of, you know, promises you made to yourself or your friends in the past. I mean, you do want to be loyal.
Right.
If she, you know, listen, does she make you feel bad? Like, that's not a friend. Qualities of, list of qualities you want in any type of relationship or partner or friendship or making you feel bad about yourself is not a quality you'd want in anyone. So like, that matters.
Right.
That could be a temporary thing. Her wanting you to getting engaged and married, obviously, because she's doing this for whatever reason. I don't know her, so I can't make judgments on why she seems so committed on getting engaged and married so early. But clearly she wants to have friends share in that. And we all, as young people, have talked about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had kids at the same time we all get married?
The answer is no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But I know I did that when I was 18 and 19 with my friends. And then you kind of like, you're like, yeah, that was kind of weird. And it's cool if it works out, but like, you don't certainly plan your life around it.
Right.
As far as do I go to the wedding, I think it's fine to go to the wedding and support your friend. You don't have to like everything your friends do, and you can still be there for them. If you literally can't afford it, traveling, plane ticket.
Right, when asking me, her last fiance, I knew, like, they dated for 3 years. I knew him like pretty well, and she asked me to be in the wedding. So I agreed to be in her wedding. And then now that she's with this new guy, it's kind of just like an unspoken thing that all of the people that were going to be her bridesmaids are still going to be her bridesmaids. And I'm at the point now where like they're talking about like me going back home and like traveling to get a dress and doing all of this extra stuff. And I just don't know if like, I don't know how to be like, hey, I don't actually support this relationship. I don't really want to be in this wedding and spend this much money. I just don't know how to like approach that situation. And
question, what created the long distance? So you moved from home?
Yeah. So when I was 17, I graduated high school and moved 3 hours to where I'm living now. So my boyfriend, my best friends, my family, they all live 3 hours away. And I'm up
college? Are you going to school?
I did 1 year in school, and that's another thing too. Like we kind of planned like our schooling together. Like we both did a year of community college and ended up like hating it. And I'm taking a year off right now to like work full time and save up. And we were planning on going to like cosmetology school together next year. And that's not really happening for her either anymore. Like basically this new guy is just kind of changing her whole
that's
life.
Pretty common.
And so I don't know I just don't know how to approach it since I'm like not there to have a conversation with her face to face. I don't know how to say, this is how I feel, and I don't really want to be in your wedding. Like I just don't know what to do since it would be over the phone, which can be kind of misconceived.
Sometimes we have to have conversations over FaceTime or the phone. Like, we're talking now, I can see you. You can have a pretty intimate conversation with someone video Skype. I don't think that's really the issue. Listen,
right.
I don't want to like dismiss your friendship that you have with your friends, but you guys are both young and you're at this kind of point in your life where she's going one direction and you're potentially going another. And I think just accepting that is important. Just like you can't resist it. If this is what she wants to do, don't feel like you have to mimic her life. You have a whole life in front of you and you should make choices based off of, it's fun to say, we're going to go to school together. Go to school because you want to. Figure out what your dreams are, what your passions are.
Right.
Focus on that.
Yeah.
And friends should be there to support you along this journey. It doesn't, when you're in high school, you do everything together. Like, you're going to have your own life and create it. And like, friendships change too. Friendships, when you're younger, you're with each other every day. You talk every day, constant. My friends I referred to that I talk about in high school, like, I hear from them once a month, tops, right? When I go home for the holiday to see them, they're still my closest friends. They have families and kids now. It's different, right? It's going to evolve over time. And so like, it's going to evolve for you. So live your life. You're at the start of your adult life and you need to focus on you and what you want. And these are important years to like, I encourage you to go back to school. You can always have a full-time job. It's harder and harder to go back to school when you'll have more excuses to not go back. Is all I'm saying. You can always go back, but you'll have more excuses not to go back. So it is 18, 19, 20. Those are important years to be selfish, I think. If you're ever going to be selfish, those are the years to do it.
It also sounds like you've put your life on hold and are like following this kind of schedule that your friend has put you on, and now she's gone off and is doing her own kind of thing, and you're like, wait a second here. We were supposed to be like, we were in school together. Now we're not in school anymore. And now that I'm not in school anymore, I'm working and you're off, getting engaged twice and now expecting me to, like, what happened
She's
to
changing
our
the
plan?
Yeah.
And
so it really just like happened like that. We didn't initially like plan. Like, I'm pretty like independent, I would say. Like, I moved away from home. Like, I could have just, stayed in my hometown, but it kind of just happened that way, where we both went through the same thing, but we're at the point now where we're not going through the same thing anymore. And I still have the full intentions to, like, I guess you would call it, like, be selfish and pursue my career, whether it's with her or not. But I'm just kind of like, I don't know how I should approach her, or if I should at all. Like, should I just keep distancing myself, or should I have a conversation that's like, I don't want to like be as good of friends as we were. Like, do I need to have that conversation or not?
I don't think you have to have a breakup conversation. Those things happen organically.
Right.
Again, your friendship could change too, right? Like, you can still be her friend. She could, if let's say she goes through with this engagement, gets married, you can just be like, that's not for me. Like, you won't be as close, right? You probably won't have, but like, you don't have to like hate her now. It's like, you can still hang out in Christmas and those things kind of tend to fade away, especially now if she does get married, her husband will be a bigger priority. Yeah. So like, I don't think you have to be like, I'm not gonna, as far as going to the wedding, it sounds like you don't really want to go and you don't want to spend the money. That's okay. I don't think you should feel guilty about that. I think that's a big takeaway. You can let her know that and just be like, I just, I mean, you might have to say that I'm not going to be in your wedding. And you can just say, I'm not going to.
Would it be awful if I like said like, I just can't afford it, or
what's
like,
the truth?
I have to work? Like, would it be bad if I just like used like a cop out excuse to not go, or should I just like be upfront?
Do you just don't want to go to the wedding?
No, I mean, I just am conflicted with, one, I don't really think it's going to happen. I'm not. That's
a good bet.
I'm not really convinced that it's going to happen. I don't want to spend $100+ on a dress, like a bridesmaid dress, and then I'd have to drive up there, drive back, drive up there again. Like, I just don't really want to spend all that money on something that's not going to last or not even really going to happen. Like, if I spend $150 on a dress and then she breaks off the engagement again, that's like money that I could have used for like bills and stuff, so I just don't.
So
I don't know.
Just keep it real simple. Like, as far as being in the wedding, just tell her, you're like, listen, I love you. I'm here to support you, but I can't afford to be in your wedding. As far, you can go to the wedding if she actually goes through with it.
Right.
If, maybe she might uninvite you. I don't know, but try to like, don't make it a bigger deal than it is. Right.
Yeah.
Like, say you can't afford it. You don't have to get into this big conversation. And then if she still wants you to go to the wedding if she actually goes through with it. Also, like, you're right, she might not. So try not to stress about something that, 50-50, it's a coin toss, it will happen. These are periods in your life, in your young adult life, that you're going to go through. And I think, again, the biggest takeaway is you don't have to feel guilty about growing apart from someone. That happens, and that's okay. And, you don't have to feel like a bad person just because your priorities change and her priorities change too. And your friendship will change, and she might not be your best friend. She might be a good friend. You might reconnect with this friend 4 years down the road when she's done going through this period in her life. You really have your whole life in front of you. So again, this is a time to really prioritize your immediate needs and just be a good person and be there for her, but you don't have to capitalize your needs over hers.
Sometimes also weddings are the funeral of your friendship.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. And that's okay.
I have a
That's a
feeling
true
that's what's
story.
gonna be.
I had a friend that
goodness.
I've been friends with for like a decade. We've been through so much stuff together. And I went to her wedding, and it was lovely. And ever since the wedding, our relationship, for whatever reason, has not been the same.
Do you think that's, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's just, like people's lives change when they get married. They get married, they have their common friends, and you start a new life, and sometimes you're included in that and sometimes you're not. It's not like I've pulled myself out of the friendship, but it's changed. It's definitely not like the same.
Yeah.
So you can also be, I think sometimes like less information is better in these instances, especially if she has a history of already like not going through with the wedding. So you don't want to make a bigger issue out of something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, because
Right.
they could break up, and
that's,
she doesn't want to remember all the things you might have said to her.
When's the wedding?
Yeah.
Does she have a date yet?
so yes, it's in March.
Okay, you've got time.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, so the first engagement happened in November. They broke up in June, and she actually was like, I would personally call it cheating. I don't know if there's kind of like,
yeah, she has her own. She's got a lot going on.
She was seeing the other guy while she was with the other fiance. So, a month and like not even a month later, they are engaged. So, but it's in March. So
things change, but yeah. I mean, and then you mentioned like the wedding and the death is the death of a friendship, and again, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we forget why sometimes friendships, there's a mutual need or mutual connection. Maybe that mutual need is you're both single and you go out and you're each other's wingmen or wingwomen, and like someone finds someone and you're still friends. You still enjoy hanging out, but what are we doing Friday night? What are we doing Saturday? That's going to change. And
I guess my job as her friend was to help her through all of her breakups. So
there you go. Now she's not broken up.
Does that make you feel used, or is
No, it's just it just is like a little bit of like there's just like a big question mark.
That's too bad.
Because there was also a part of me where I was like, do I go to the wedding? Don't I go to the wedding? Do I go to the wedding? Don't I go to the wedding? But it was like the right thing to do, to go.
Yeah.
But I felt like a shift around the wedding.
It can be a bummer. And like, that's the thing. It's like I think we all, whether it's like deliberately or not, can, friendships, there is a need there, right? So the used part, like, I don't know your friend, but she probably didn't intend that, but that was just maybe the nature of the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, it's a bummer, but like, I guess that's kind of life a little bit, like, you'll
maybe
go,
it was a one-way friendship though, and I didn't realize it.
Did she ever do anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the scope of all of that time, for sure. She was a very good friend, but
that's
recently not
I'm
so
starting
much.
to feel like that.
Yeah. It's like you just like put out, it's just like this like output of energy, and then finally you're like, hold on a sec. How come you don't ever ask me how I am?
Right.
Or how come you don't ever reach out to me and say like, hey, how's work going?
Sure.
How is your boyfriend / or husband? How are things going in LA? Like, it's very simple things. There's like no interest in the actual. Like, that's like Nick will just reach out to me out of the blue on the weekend and be like, do you want to go out for dinner tonight? And I'll be like, yeah, sure. It's like, those are things that friends do. And then we catch up. But like, I'm also, you might be dealing with that now. You might just be seeing like, oh, wait, I'm just a friend to her.
Yeah.
Like she has these expectations of me. Yeah.
And that's a great point. You have these friendships and you realize, we only talk when they're like, hey, I need to talk, kind of things. So listen, I think the biggest takeaway is friendships come and go. You don't have to make a huge deal about this. you can be honest and nice without giving out too much information. You don't have to have some come to Jesus and just let it play out. I think is the biggest thing, just
my guess is the wedding's not happening.
Yeah. And who knows where this person will be in your life. You might, this person could be a distant thought in 5 years, or you could be best friends again. Who knows? But just let life happen and focus on you right now and what you need. So, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
I'm definitely dwelling on it too much.
Probably a little bit. That's natural though. That's
you've got skull earrings on. Who cares about anything else?
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
You're living in the Halloween moment, honey. Enjoy that.
Oh, goodness.
All right.
Bye.
Well, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, friendships are. I think we think of friendships so much like we think of them differently than romantic friendships, and obviously they are different, but there's a lot of similarities between friendships and romantic relationships, and especially if it's like a guy or a girl. I've had a lot of women friends that we were best friends, and it was platonic, and there was no sexual chemistry, and then again, it was like as soon as one of us meets someone, it's going to change.
Yeah,
and it's it's just.
You also kind of have to believe, like, if you, and the reason why I don't have like there's sadness, but there's not like a massive resentment there, but people come and go through our lives at different times for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
And so if you're willing to allow the nature of relationships to be able to welcome them in, but also kind of like let them go when they're ready to move on. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't need to hang on to people for my entire life. It's like people come in and out at different times, and it also opens up the space for, maybe a friendship that's not as deep as the one you're letting go, but then it has time to kind of nurture into, you kind of go into these other phases.
Totally.
And you get in with other people who are invested in you as a person, and you have similar things happening. So if you're open to that, then you get to experience a lot of different relationships with people.
I totally agree. And I think again, our caller, she was younger, and like, your friends in your high school are like your ride or die.
Yeah.
You do everything together, so your friendships and the nature of them change. And to that point,
your identity too. And it's like, once that's gone, who am I?
Yeah. It's a really tough transition. And then in your adult life, you have more of these kind of temporary but sometimes very meaningful and important friendships that aren't romantic. And some of them last long. And again, it all just depends. Some of them are short, and if the shorter ones tend to be more intense and they serve a specific need. And sometimes it's more two people are comfortable. Like, we don't hang out or talk every day. I might go a month without having any communication with you, but
even
then it's very easy.
Think about me every hour of every day.
And then I'm just like, hey, I need some Brad in my life. So that can happen all the time, and I think that is totally okay. Interesting, like, Bachelor World, the friendships that come, a lot of them people will see everyone hanging out at first because they go through this very intense shared relationship, and then over time the friendships evolve and change, and then you're lucky, kind of like high school, to be friends with one or two people, close friends. I mean, real friends. 2 years later. And that's normal.
Yeah, but that's like a moment in time, though, where you all kind of bond over this similar weird thing. And then naturally, you're just going to pair with somebody who, like,
that
you
need
have
changes
similar interests. And
you don't need someone to relate to that intense experience anymore like you did coming off.
Right.
The
But
show.
it's still fun to have that. Like, I still talk to Taylor from the Rachel Zoe Project because we, like, experienced that very strange thing happening together, and it's still nice to have that person to say, like, do you remember when X, Y, and Z happened, or wasn't that the weirdest thing? You kind of you need those people in this wonderful Holly weird world.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
I'm Emma. I'm 22.
Hi, Emma.
Hi.
How can we help you, Emma?
So basically, I've been dating this guy. We've been dating for 2 years, but I've known him for 11 years, so a good portion of our lives we've known each other. And he won't ask me to move in with him. And I don't really know why, because we've talked about getting engaged in the next year, and that's been okay. And I've made it clear that I won't say yes unless we live together first for a decent period of time. So I'm not really sure why that's not happening. And I have brought it up, and every time I bring it up, he gets really wishy-washy about moving in or not moving in, or
yeah.
And I don't really know what to do.
Okay. It's funny because I do my questions with Nick. If this was questions with Nick, I'd give a very concise, short answer.
Yeah.
But let's dive into it a little bit more. You've been dating for 2 years, you said? I mean, the fact that you've known him your whole life, I don't want to say doesn't matter. It obviously matters to you. It doesn't matter in the context of your particular problem, in a sense of like, well, we've known each other since we were 11. Why won't he move in with me?
Yeah.
Like, well, because that wasn't really relevant at 15.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many nights are you guys spending together right now?
Like 4 to 6. And I've told him too, like, if you need space, I'm cool staying at my house and you can have your time. And he's always like, no, like, don't do that. I want you to be here. And I don't get angry about it if he doesn't want me to stay. I really don't care either way, but.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, the short answer is he hasn't asked you because he doesn't want to move in with you right now. He's not ready to get engaged. So is my guess based off of this, and that's okay. Based off I told him I don't want to get engaged until I move in with you and we talk about engagement. Doesn't mean he's ready to be engaged. It's easy to have these conversations and it's fun to talk about it. And if I were you, I would think back about like, who's initiating these conversations, right? Is he kind of a willing participant to these conversations where he's being agreeable and saying, yeah, of course, let's get married someday, and you're kind of the one who's maybe suggesting it slightly more often than him,
Yeah, that's part of what I'm not really following is the moving in together is me, but the engagement stuff was him initially. Okay. We talk about it more now, so I bring it up sometimes, but at first it was very much him.
It's also possible that he definitely plans on getting engaged to you, but like maybe later in life. You are. How old is he?
He's 23.
Okay, so you're both really young, and so it's not. It's totally fine if you want to get engaged and married at this age, but you will be doing it young, and it's also not abnormal to want to wait. Right, and so he might just be feeling that. Also, sometimes, I mean, young couples always talk about engagement, and for every 22-year-old couple that's been dating for a year talks about probably getting engaged. How many of those actually go through with it is probably a far less. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but I'm just saying a lot of people early in young relationships invest a lot in the things that they talked about in the past. And the things that they talked about in the past play such a role in their decisions in the present and in the future. So I would try to focus less on, we talked about this, we talked about that. Like, focus on the now. And the now is that it sounds like maybe he's not ready. So you probably, for your own sake and for the sake of the relationship, stop forcing the issue. Stop asking him, well, do you want his space? It sounds like he's fine having you around. If you're not okay with playing house without actually living together, then you need to stop playing house. Then you should stop going over there 4 or 5 days a week. Then go, if you have your own place, be more independent. That might change his perspective. What you don't want to do is kind of trick him into wanting to don't manipulate the situation, because kind of like, the sometimes moving in together can be the death of a relationship too. Yeah. Moving too fast and being too premature about moving in, whether it's because you want to save money on rent or et cetera, can definitely end a relationship.
Well, there's also a logical progression that he's kind of not seeing. It's like, also just for curiosity reasons, like, you have to see how you guys live together before you commit to getting married to him, because if you guys aren't compatible in the same space. So I would just be super upfront and like, don't let him be wishy-washy. Just say like, you know, I know you want to get married and it's my intention to do the same, but we have to live together before to see if we're like compatible living in the same space, or like what that I need to see what that's like before we commit to doing that. So
what if he agrees, but he's just not ready yet?
That's fine. At least you kind of get what you know, I think that you need some sort of like time frame of like when, if you're already over there all the time, then it doesn't really matter. Like you're basically living together, but not.
Yeah, but it can be a little different. I mean, this is not necessarily, but you just don't want to force it. I mean, I remember in my 20s, I had a girlfriend. We were dating first we were dating for a year, and then her lease was up and she wanted to move in. And my relationship beforehand, when we moved in, it was a different relationship, but we broke up pretty quickly. And I was just at that point, I was like, didn't want to rush to move in with anyone. You know, I wasn't going to move in with someone because our leases were both up at the same time and we can save money. I was open to living with them before we got engaged, but I wasn't in a rush to do that. And to me, that wasn't and I vocalized that, but she really wanted to. She had never lived with someone. It was a point of contention. I won that battle. I mean, it was, I won the battle, but kind of lost the war. And then they fast forward a year. So then she was charmingly stubborn and persistent. So she was just like, fine, you don't want to move in with me? You're still going to live with me. And like, she basically stayed there 5-6 days a week. I was doing her laundry. I mean, she was basically there. So that a year came by and then she's like, well, we're basically living together. It makes sense not to live together. And it just became such a focus on the relationship. And it was just, that became the priority. And it just, to me, it was like, I wasn't ready. And I wanted her to respect the fact that I didn't want to rush that aspect of it, because I loved her very much. I very much saw a future with her. I could see potentially getting engaged to her. And it really bothered me how much she just didn't respect the fact that I wanted to take it a little bit slower. I didn't want to play house, and I felt like we were, and I felt like she was so focused on that and not about like the day-to-day of our relationship of how we communicated. Mm-hmm. So I only just kind of stress that, listen to what he's vocalizing. Just because he's like, I'm not necessarily ready to move in, doesn't mean he doesn't love you. Doesn't mean he doesn't want to spend the rest of your life with him. It can be a little messy about like, well, we're supposed to do this. It's the logical next step. And I'm not saying it's not. And totally logical that before you get engaged, you do want to live with them. That's reasonable. But it maybe just might not be now.
The only other thing that I'm kind of wondering is the last girl that he lived with, they were in an abusive relationship. So I don't know if that's like playing into kind of his hesitation, because
maybe
towards the end he like had a really, really hard time physically leaving, and in part because they lived together. So I don't know like if that's it kind of adding to it.
It could be. I mean, I wasn't in an abusive relationship that I referred to, but I wasn't in a healthy relationship. And I will say that gave me pause in the next relationship to not want to rush too quickly. It made me more confident in saying, because that other relationship, it was very much a relationship based off of how I thought how we thought we looked together. We talked. Oh my God, early in that relationship, we talked so much about our future. It was like, all we did was talk about how we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah, blah, blah. That was our relationship. It was talking about that stuff. And so my next relationship, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in the present, in the moment. I didn't want to like glorify the future because of how our kids would look or what our job would look like. It felt very immature. And so I wanted to take it slower. So that very much could play a role. And I think it's totally normal that you want to spend more time with them. It's totally normal that you want to progress the relationship, but you do want to check in with him. And if you feel loved by him, I don't think him not being ready to move in doesn't mean he doesn't love you. I mean, I don't know the relationship, but that doesn't define it.
I don't know why I'm not getting a straight answer.
Get the answer.
Get the answer, but do you think what has he ever said? I just don't want to move it. What if the answer is I'm just not ready?
If he said he wasn't ready, I'd be fine with that, because then I would know and I would leave it alone for a while. But it's always like when I'm not there, he's like, oh, I wish you were here really bad. And that's like rare. And so I'm like, well, if I was there, then I would be there all the time. So then we would be living together. So I don't really understand. But then if I ask up front, why aren't we moving in or can we? It's just oh, well, maybe at some point, like, I don't know, like, I really like having you here, but, and then it just kind of trails off. But if he just said, I'm not ready right now, then I would leave it. I just don't really understand.
I think he can miss you and want to spend 7 days a week with you and still not want to move in together. Because I do think there is a difference. I mean, there is, even if you spend every night together at his place and you have your own place, there is a mental difference of knowing that you don't have to spend there as opposed to like, this is now your place. There is a kind of a psychological difference. That's true. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. I do think, to Brad's point, set boundaries, right? Like, you do, like, you know, I don't think you're not wrong for wanting to do this, but like, you don't have to force the issue. And then if you spend less time with him and he misses you, just be like, it's okay for us to miss each other, right? Like,
I also think it's totally okay in a relationship. It's not like you guys have been together for 3 weeks to sit down when you're like having dinner or something and be like, hey, you know, I just want to get on the same page as you. This isn't like an opportunity for me to, you know, try to pressure you into anything, but I just need to know for myself if you are intending in the next, you know, if your intention is for us to move in together, whether it's soon or in the future, because I feel like right now I'm kind of in this like limbo phase where we're hanging out a lot together at your house, which is great. But if I just kind of need to know for myself if I'm planting firmer roots in my own place or if there's the possibility of us doing that together. And it's like really like a yes or no answer. There shouldn't be like, you know, it's like, no, I'm not ready for that right now, but I love the way things are right now. And you'll be like, cool. Or, you know, I was thinking maybe in the next few months we would move in together. That's definitely an intention of mine, just like not right this second.
Yeah.
I think you just like lay it out and make it super clear that you need, like, not like, hey, are we going to move in together? But just put it back on yourself in a way of like, listen, I feel like I'm going in between two places and I just want to know what your intentions are because I want to be able to align mine up with yours as well.
I think that's great. I think it's important when you do that, though, as long as you are okay with either answer, to make him feel like either answer is okay. You don't want to ask a question where, like,
and it seems like it's totally fine with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You seem open to it. You just want clarity. So if you just want clarity, I think to Brad's point, that's a great thing. But just make him feel like you're not pressuring him for a certain decision. You want clarity. So make sure he understands that's your objective, is clarity and not necessary to move in right now. And then you might get a more honest answer.
Yeah. I think being really clear about what the question is too, like not really leaving any room for gray area. It's like either it is or it isn't. Yeah. So not like, I was wondering if we're maybe at some point, but I don't want to just like, you know, wrap it up in the fact that you kind of need this information from him so that you can adjust to what the expectation is, which I think is like, you know, something you deserve as well to know, because you don't necessarily want to have this like looming over your head of like, where am I going? Like where, you know, and then you can just...
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm stuck, is I don't have a straight answer, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and in a relationship, that's not a fair position to put your partner in, is like, if you guys had been dating for 2 months or 3 months, I'd be like, all right, well, you know, you might be rushing it, but 2 years into it, I think you deserve a straight answer from him so that you can, you know, live your life and be in your relationship in the way that it's meant to be right now.
Totally. But also don't act like it's not always all his call. I know that you would move in with him if you want to, but you know, you could say, I'm spending tonight at my place. Even if he says, come over, you know, you have control here. And so like set those own boundaries, you know, like, again, it's not a threat, but you're not just waiting on him. Even though it feels like that. So just don't make it about the moving in. Make it about clarity and be okay with either one. You know, make him feel like he can be honest with you, and then be okay with that answer. If he says, well, I'm just not ready right now, and I'd like to spend time with you, you can say, great, but like, I think it's good that we have some of our independence, and that's good, because when we do eventually, whenever it is, then there'll be time for us. So yeah, focus on clarity and less about the moving in. I think that'll probably be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye, Emma.
Thanks. Bye.
How's it going?
Oh, sorry. Good. I'm Ellie. I'm 28 and I'm from Australia.
Oh, wonderful.
Hi, Ellie.
Worldwide.
International.
How can we help you, Ellie?
Okay, it's a big one and it's a weird one, but I'll try to keep it concise. So I was crushing on a guy from my church for months, and he was like super chill and witty and loved God. And I was like really keen to get to know him more. And then I heard that he had a mental breakdown and moved back home like an hour away. And I thought it was a good opportunity to initiate a hangout. And I had your voice in my head saying, you got to shoot your shot. So I asked him if he wanted to go to the beach, and he said yes. But then he bailed last minute and said he'd planned something soon. So he asked me out on a date like a week later, which was awesome. And on the date, I ran into an old friend of mine, and he was super drunk. He ended up talking to the date for a while and told the date that we were going to get married and that I was the one. And so later at dinner, the date asked me if I wanted to marry him. So obviously I was taken aback, and I said, I don't really know you well enough, but I like what I know so far. Anyway, the next day and the next few days, his messages started to get weird and just rude. Oh, I should mention. So his mental breakdown, I thought it might have been depression or something, but he said it was, he was showing signs of psychosis, and they said they were worried about him developing schizophrenia, but that he was okay now and he was like getting treatment and stuff. Anyway, so the next few days, messages were rude, and then actually just started getting crazy, like really irrational. And so I stopped replying. A few weeks later, he finally messaged and said sorry for what he said and asked if I'd want to go on a date again. And I was like, I think you should focus on getting better and we can be friends. And then he asked if I wanted to be in a relationship when he is better. And I wondered if you had any thoughts or insight on dating somebody with that kind of thing.
I mean, it's
Brad's face. Oh no.
That's like a lot of work for one date.
I mean, very noble of you to, I don't want to say like, everyone's got someone for them, and I wish him all the best, but.
Is there nobody else at your church? Is it just you two there? Switch gears.
The guy I knew before, he was really cool. But
yeah. I don't doubt he can be really cool, but regardless of someone's ailment or whatever that might be, it's not necessarily an excuse to treat the people around them poorly. And sometimes life's not fair. You're not his sister or his mom or dad in the sense that like that unconditional love, you barely even know the guy. So kind of to Brad's point in terms of like his response is, this might not be a battle worth fighting. I mean, are you really willing to jump into, you don't, like you said, you don't really know the guy. I mean, and what you do know is very questionable at this point. So, I mean, I don't doubt he might be cool sometimes, but there's a lot of people who are cool sometimes and don't come with kind of a mental health history, and more importantly, signs of treating you poorly when he doesn't get his way, and it's maybe less about the mental health and more about the fact that what that maybe does to him. And maybe it's not the mental health that causes him to do this. I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't showing signs of schizophrenia who are assholes to their partners. And so focus more on that. And maybe sometimes we have that fixer mentality is that like, oh, well, he got weird and he said these mean things or he said these weird things. And like, but he has this thing. And that might be true, but he did still say that and he still did do that. And I think especially since you don't know the guy very well, and especially it's early in a relationship, you really should focus on that and not necessarily as like, oh, poor him, but like, regardless, I don't want a guy who does that to me. And if you're starting from that point, it's not going to get much better.
Maybe just be a friend right now.
Yeah.
And like,
is that possible? Do you think with this guy?
Do the God thing and be a friend to your other friend and help him deal with his mental health and see where it goes from there. But I don't know if I don't think it's a nice thing to just dump somebody because they have, a mental issue. But I think you can be a friend, and then I think you can see if it's something that you want to investigate further. But I'm sure that he probably needs friends right now, so do that.
Aww.
And that's nice. Yeah. And I hope, but like, he did propose. I'm just saying, like, he might not be okay with that, and I don't want you to feel like you're responsible. So, like, if you can be a friend, great, but it might not be manageable for you. And I don't want you to feel like you have to carry this burden because, oh, it's, by the way, I have this condition. And now, this whole like, well, it would be a mean thing to break up with someone with a, like, people have these thoughts and then get stuck in situations because they don't want to feel like they're the asshole. And I just, if you can be a friend, but it might not be possible for a guy who's already proposed and sending him with his expectation. He might not see you that way and not want that. So I would just tread lightfully, be there. If he's willing, great, be a friend. But I think maybe it might be, just really tread carefully and don't feel like you are responsible for being in his life because you become aware of this condition he has. You're not stuck in that. I don't know. I feel like some people feel like, well, I can't leave this situation because then I'm an asshole, and it's tough. I'm assuming he's got hopefully family and friends to be there for him and a support system.
That's the thing. His mom's not great. She's apparently got some mental issues as well, and she's kind of cut him off from all his friends. So I have made it clear that I want to be friends, and I also want to catch up this week as friends. So I'm just, like you said, I'm going to tread very lightly and just.
I would tread very lightly. Be a friend if you can. I just don't feel like you have to. Yeah.
Okay. That's fair. I'm going to try to get him into some good guy friends that I know on the coast. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Don't you think it's easy to get wrapped up in like the romance of like almost a mentally unstable person of when they like, he asked her to marry him, like you're like, oh my god, like maybe this is a thing, like, but it's because he's not completely,
well, that too. But even to that point, it doesn't even have to be something as like, it sounds like this guy has a potential serious condition.
Yes,
maybe someone's came from a troubled childhood, or they have a bit of a drinking problem. Whatever the problem is, sometimes that does draw people into that relationship as the fixer, and then more importantly, it gives them a built-in excuse for sucking as a partner. Right? Because it's like, oh, well, they don't mean it. They just have this problem. And that might be true, but early in a relationship, that's not an excuse for you to have to immediately say, well, I have to carry this burden because, well, they can't help it. And I don't think that's okay, especially early on.
And sometimes we mistake drama for romance.
Yeah.
Those feelings of like not knowing what's going on.
Totally. I feel like this is in a very extreme situation for a lot of very relatable early dating situations where you find someone, it's like there's that fine line between like the person who's looking for someone who's perfect or like, well, I know no one's perfect. Well, just because you know no one's perfect doesn't mean you have to start dating someone with some serious baggage that's going to really monetize or like your whole, not monetize, but really
capitalize.
Monopolize.
Thank you, Rochelle. Monopolize your entire relationship. Yeah. So
tread lightly.
If you can be a friend, be a friend. But at the moment you feel like guilt about being in the relationship, I think you have to try to, you have to decide, because it's tough. I mean, it's unfortunate and I wish him the best, but you don't want to fast forward 3 years of having this potentially toxic relationship that you feel guilt about being in. And you have the right to be in any relationship, romantic or friendship, to get nourishment from it. So you still need to hold them accountable to nourish you in whatever way you need to be nourished. As a friend, you can't be one-sided, so hopefully he can do that.
Yeah.
Tread lightly. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Thanks. advice.
All right. Well, best of luck. Enjoy Australia. Thanks for calling in. We really appreciate you listening.
Thanks so much. I love you all.
I love you all too. Love you all. Love you too. Love you. I can't talk. All right. Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.
You too.
Yeah, I know. That's tough. I mean,
Is it though?
Well, no, but you even said, well, you don't want to be a bad guy, and so be a
No, I didn't say you don't want to be a bad guy. I said you might not want to just completely. It's not fair because there's stigma attached to mental health, right? And it's not fair to just back away because you don't know what you're dealing with. So I think it's like, I don't think it's wise to jump into a relationship with somebody who's literally just starting to sort out what their situation with their mental health. But I do think, especially somebody who, you know, she was very clear that it was important to her that somebody that she's in a relationship love God as well. And so I think if you are in church and looking for somebody who loves God, then you should be a good Christian if that's what she is, and like be there for your people. Like, I wouldn't want people to just like back away from me. I think that happens. So I think we need to kind of like, I think it's also like something in this country too, where we don't address mental health. And I think that we just kind of like back away from it. And then people are just left by themselves trying to sort out what's going on with them in their heads.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just I think why I say it's a tough one, because I think it's hard to set boundaries too, especially with this, is like, can she address it and be there for him as a friend? And is he okay with the, you know, like let's say she wants to be a friend, but she wants to establish boundaries and distance in the sense that I'm there for you and you can call me, but we're just friends. Will he be okay with that? You know? And then will she feel guilty about having to give more? Because again, this potentially, it's brief, but he proposed, and maybe he has a huge crush on her.
But did he just like propose because he's not well?
I don't know. I'm just saying, but like his expectations, it's a tough one in that sense.
Because who proposes on a first date? Like, you have to be like a little.
Some people who still don't have, like, you know, who knows? Guys have said
Have
that.
you done that?
No, I haven't, but I know guys
He
who
won't even move in with anybody.
Like I said, it's a tough one because, like, yes, like you want to be there for it, and it's not like, oh, they have a mental health problem, let's just dismiss them. But kind of to Rochelle's point, we sometimes get sucked into the drama of it all, and
I can fix him.
And then, you know, that's why I say you gotta be careful.
Life's not a Nicholas Sparks novel.
Yeah, and it's not black and white in that regard. And
Thank God, Nicholas Sparks.
Wow, strong opinions.
Really well, Brad, thank you so much for coming in. I think you were great. I love having our special guests, our return guests for our Q&A, and to offer some insight and level us out.
I'm so glad I'm not single.
You're so wise. How are you so wise?
It's such a landscape. Oi.
So thank you.
My pleasure, Nick.
As always, thanks for listening. Sending your questions to asknick at asknick. Did I say that right? Don't forget to send your questions at asknick@castmedia.com. Cast with a K. Give us your 5 stars if you want.
And just tread lightfully.
Tread lightfully, everyone.
Is that a made-up word that I made? Tread lightly?
Do you have anything to plug?
We're going to do that at the beginning.
Why can't you plug at the end too?
Oh, okay, sure.
And also don't forget to tune in to my podcast, Brad Behavior.
Ooh.
Where can people find it, Brad?
I don't know.
Wherever podcasts are found.
Yeah. On iTunes, Spotify.
Probably wherever possible.
Lady Gang Network. My Instagram. Anywhere. Swipe up.
Check out the episode with Brad and I.
Yeah. Guest number 2.
Number 2.
First male guest. I got Daddy on.
Thanks, Brad.
Wait, are you Daddy?
I hope so.
I wouldn't peg you for a daddy.
Who, Nick?
Yeah.
Nick's a little bit of a dad.
Okay.
You see me differently than Rochelle.
Nick's like, you know, the cold weather this morning just made me like think about how much I would like to snuggle up to Nick on like a really cold, crisp LA morning Just like kind of make these noises like.